Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for watching. I just wanted to do this quick review on the iWonder Cloudwheels for hub drive boards adapter kit. So just some quick background on me. I'm still kind of an amateur. I'm still a novice with electric skateboards. I've got about 250 miles or so on my Backfire G3 Plus, which is my first electric skateboard and my only electric skateboard for now. But I went with a hub drive board because I didn't want the noise from the belt drive boards. I like to be a little bit more discreet anyway, and this just felt like the safer bet, and it had great specs and everything. The price was right, so this is the direction I went. But I quickly realized, even after putting the 96mm wheels on, which were definitely more comfortable, I still wanted something that had a little bit more versatility and that was just a little bit smoother ride on some of the crappier surfaces that I was riding on. But you know, that wasn't really an option because I didn't have a belt or direct drive board. So, you know, iWonder shows up with this hub adapter kit, and okay, we're going to give it a shot because I'm dying to try the Cloudwheels anyway. So, this isn't going to be a review on Cloudwheels themselves. I think that's already been done to death. You can find lots of videos and draw your own conclusion. I think most people like them by the end. This is going to be focused more on how specifically the hub adapter affected the board overall. Installation was super easy. I'm not going to get into the whole process of the installation. The instructions were super good that came in the box. They have a video on their website that's super good. So I don't think you're going to run into any snags. I didn't run into a single problem or question with the installation process. The concern that I have more than anything is about the change to the geometry of the back truck, right? So, you know, on the one hand, you're mounting these wheels to the motor cover, to those 5 small bolts that would just hold the motor cover on, or the wheel cover on, and it wasn't really designed to do that, so that was kind of a concern there. How were the forces and torsion of those bolts going to hold up over time? I don't know, but I've got about 40 miles or so on these Cloudwheels and haven't had a problem, seen a problem, felt a problem, so fingers crossed we don't have a problem. I did use a little bit of blue Loctite on those bolts though, just to make sure that they weren't going to go anywhere. I don't have much of a concern about how the truck itself is going to be affected, the life expectancy or the resiliency of the truck. And Backfire uses caliber 2 trucks, which are pretty good trucks from what I understand. I think most boards these days are using pretty decent trucks. I'm not really worried about the truck failing or anything else like that. I think it'll probably stand up to it. But one observation right away is it looks terrible. Anybody who's ever even seen a skateboard before, let alone ridden one, will look at this thing and say one of these things is not like the others. So it's certainly a conversation piece. I don't know if it's a positive conversation piece because most people look at it and want to throw up. But you know, I'm kind of sucking that up just so I can try to enjoy the experience of Cloudwheels. So. But that is definitely a big complaint. After the installation, I took it out just for real fast around the block, and I noticed right away that the rear truck was incredibly loose. In fairness, I was sort of running both of my trucks on the looser side anyway, as I was experimenting with that. But you know, because a truck is just a lever and the pivot point is in the center, the length of the truck will change dramatically the amount of force required to pivot. And so that rear bushing back there, I had to tighten the hell out of it. I mean, I tightened it so much it's making noise back there. Probably a lot of you guys are going to find that you'll want to replace that rear bushing with a much stiffer rear bushing. I had to tighten it as much as I was comfortable tightening it in order just to feel like it was as stable as it was before I did this. So maybe just replace the rear bushing if you might be concerned about that, or just pre-order one in advance in anticipation of having to do that. The wider rear track was noticeable as I was riding along. Again, I've got about 40 miles on it. So the board handling characteristics, it does feel different, not for good or for bad, but it's definitely different. And so it took a little bit of getting used to. It's kind of like when you hop on your buddy's board and it just rides a little different. That's kind of what happened here. And that's obviously because of that change to the geometry in the back. The back feels like it's more sensitive, more twitchy, It definitely feels like it takes less input to get a response from the back. So that also took a little bit of getting used to, so keep that in mind that you're going to have to adjust to that as well. The acceleration was reduced. That wasn't really a super big deal to me. Even on turbo with these wheels, the thing accelerated perfectly fine for me. I didn't really check range because I've never drawn this board down to 0 anyway. My rides are about 15 miles. It did increase the top speed on this board. My top speed was 28.7 on the 96mm wheels, and it was 30.8 on the Cloudwheels, and that was with the Ride app. And at that high speed, with the truck tightened as much as I had tightened it, it felt stable, although a little bit more twitchy. I did get a smidgen of a wobble back there. I don't know if that's because of the geometry change or if it's just because I really do need to put a bushing back there, but I was able to hit 30.8 without feeling like I was going to die. The braking was also impacted. The brakes on the Backfire G3 Plus I always thought were kind of a little bit lacking anyway. This made that worse. It didn't make it worse enough that I feel like I'm in danger or anything, like I won't be able to stop, but you definitely have to pull back a little harder on the brakes, or give yourself a little bit more range for the brakes. The big thing that I found that was surprising and I wasn't expecting was reverse mode. So on this board you've got on the remote a reverse mode, right? Where you flip the switch and the board will go in the opposite direction. This comes in handy for you in lots of different scenarios, so it's a cool feature to have. And so I ran into that where I was going to go backwards, and I flipped the switch and started moving and noticed that the difference in sensitivity when this truck is in the back versus when it's driving forward is huge. The effect of the change is like amplified by an order of magnitude, I feel like. I got to about 10 or 15 miles an hour, and that's about as far as I could get. That's about as fast as I could go without starting to feel really uncomfortable with how the board was feeling. It was giving me a lot of feedback. It was trying to wobble but wasn't really wobbling. You could tell it was fighting. So I wasn't expecting that, and so it's not a big deal. I mean, if you're going just backing out of a spot, it's not a big deal, but if you're the kind of guy who likes to actually put it in reverse and then go, I think you might find you're not going to be as comfortable with that on this setup. Also, I found out yesterday the hard way, if you're the kind of guy that likes to push your board, which I am not actually. It's kind of the reason I got an electric skateboard. I have a bad knee and pushing hurts, so this was the way to go. But I still sometimes will just push to start or whatever. And I tried to do that yesterday and forgot that the back of the skateboard was substantially wider than it used to be. And my heels hit the cloud wheel and the board stopped and I didn't. So keep in mind, the back of this board is wider now. So as you're moving forward, whether you're kicking or whether you're pushing or whatever, if you're navigating around objects and stuff, you have extra width back there. So try to remember that. Otherwise, you might clip something, and that's just not going to be a fun way to go. The other problem that I noticed was the remote for my G3 Plus. It accommodates a few different wheel sizes, but it obviously doesn't accommodate 120mm wheels. So right away, my speedometer was inaccurate, and the odometer is now inaccurate. So I'm hoping Backfire can make an accommodation for that. That's a problem that's obviously coming up only just now because we're putting wheels that were never designed for this board on this board, so no surprise that the remote doesn't accommodate it. But hopefully now that it's an option, maybe Backfire can find a way to make that work for us, because I'd really like that to be accurate. Even though I use my Ride app for speed and everything, I kind of want the odometer to be accurate. Final thoughts, to be honest with you guys. After everything, the board is awesome to ride. It still feels great. It carves awesome. Everything that I want it to do, it still does. I'm happy with the wheels. I'm going to keep these wheels. I'm going to keep this board set up like this. I think the two major takeaways I have are I'll always have Cloudwheels now, and that I probably should have just got a belt board. I think one way or the other, this board is going to get replaced with a belt drive board. Or my riding habit and style is okay with this setup, and that's why I'm leaving them on for now. I'm not putting the 96s back on. I really enjoy this board much more than I feel like the drawbacks take away from it. But I think some of those drawbacks might be substantial for some of you other guys. And then, you know, we'll see what happens after that. But thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Take care.
I can do that on my board.
Holy crap! That'll be a good moment.
That will be a good moment.
Okay, that was cool.
My board can do that. His board can't do that.
Holy crap.